Welcome, everyone, to another episode of FutureProof You's podcast, F Yourself. Today, we are talking about AI and content creation, and I've fucked it all up, and I'm going to restart.
Content creation 101.
Content creation 101. Yeah.
When I did
AI.
if it makes you feel
And
better, I did an outro for John's Ace the interview, and I was so used to saying, thanks for joining us with this AI something, that I started talking about AI shit as the outro on his Ace the interview, and I was like, oh, that's not what this was about. Never mind, I had to reshoot it.
watermelon. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of FutureProof You's podcast, F Yourself. Today, we are talking about content creation and our upcoming class, Content Creation 101. Again, as always, joined by John Lovig and Aaron McKelkey. We are here to demystify a lot of the things that just kind of are mystery to people in their job search or building out their personal brand. And so today we're talking about content creation and some of the challenges that people face and the kind of the fears and the misgivings. One of the things that I remember when I was posting and trying to post enough was, how regularly should I do it? And so, I'd love to hear from you guys. Were you having some of the same problems?
Yeah, I mean, I always would wonder, what's the right amount, how often should I be posting, particularly on LinkedIn for what I do. But, it's always been a kind of ongoing, am I doing enough? Am I not doing enough?
Yeah,
You,
I think
Aaron?
there are a lot of misconceptions about that. The one I hear in a live class, we got asked this, but if I post too much, I'll wear people out and they'll unfollow me or not read my stuff.
That's right.
That's like a 2008 model of YouTube subscribers where people think, oh, if I follow Dan, then every time Dan posts, there's an IV injection of his article that goes straight into my arm and I have to see it right now. That's not how the algorithm works. If you engage with a lot of Dan's stuff, you are going to get that, yes, but not always the same day. I follow both of you guys. I interact with everything you do. And sometimes the first exposure I get to your post is a week after it went out. So
Right.
even to one of your closest, most engaged followers, I do not get stuff same day or even same week all the time. So don't think you're going to go, oh, if I post once a week, every person who follows me saw all 7 posts those days they came out. That's not how it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely been a shift in algorithms for sort of trying to keep the drip going longer and increasing long-term engagement.
Well, ultimately, everyone should think about posting somewhat regularly, right? In order to continue to build your personal brand, right? And then also receive the feedback, right? And that's a concept that both of you really love to talk about, is the social proof of social media, especially on a professional site like LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing better than getting roasted in the comments.
Right. Or getting propped up, right?
Yeah. Or actually, I think the best combo, this happened to me yesterday. I got roasted in the comments by a rando. I don't know who this person is, and they saw my post and basically said, "Oh, everyone's so dumb. There's an easier solution than what he's talking about." But then one of my followers came under his comment and was like, basically said, "You're an arrogant prick, and there is a good reason to do it that way." And she had my back, and it was awesome because it's like I didn't have to go defend myself, although I did in a kind of snarky way, funny way. But to have somebody else jump in on your behalf and say like, "No, actually, that is a good idea or a good practice," that's the ultimate. And you don't get that if you don't post.
Mhm.
Right. And there's so many different ways to do things, right? Especially when you're posting. I mean, we're going to cover it in our class on Friday. There's so many different methods, and it kind of depends on how you do it, what you like to do, and also when, and I think when is a big question, right, for a lot of people, right? So, like we hear all the time that, oh gosh, it's so much work. How do you do it? So, I mean, Aaron, like, just, in the past week, I mean, you're very prolific across all of your channels. Like how many times did you post over the past week?
Yeah, not everybody aspires to be a social media diva like I am, but we looked in 1 week. I did about 105 posts in 7 days, and people like, and you have a job and a life, and you sleep and see your kids, and your wife still remembers your face. But it's just because I have a system, and I schedule things and I batch it just like anything else. I only check my mail once a week, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Well, I'm only going to look at analytics on Sunday nights when my kids go to bed for an hour. So once you find a system, you realize a lot of that is smoke and mirrors. What you think people are doing is not as much time and effort as it appears from the outside. And one of the things people will get from the course, whether they go live with us in March of 2025 or after this recording, they can get it as a digital download, is, John, you said this. People always say, I know I need to post, but I don't know where to start. I'm so overwhelmed that instead of doing some little thing, I just do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. The analysis paralysis,
Mhm.
fear of doing something wrong, fear of having bad content, fear of putting it out there in the universe. It's like a lot of things drive people.
And so Aaron, you said you did 105 posts that 1 week. Across how many channels is that?
That's 8 channels.
8 channels. Wow.
So
Yep.
most of them, my text posts, I try to do 2 a day across 6 channels. And then some of them I end up doing a few more organically, like in the app instead of scheduling. And then TikTok, I don't usually schedule. I try to do those. I'll pre-record them, but I'll post them either in the moment, because sometimes my stuff is just, this came out this week, this is a new feature. But I've also had mixed results with using scheduling tools to post to certain platforms, and TikTok was one of those. But it's just about having a system you can follow. And if you ever get overwhelmed, you go, what day of the week is it? What are my content pillars? What am I trying to get out of this? Am I trying to sell consulting? Am I trying to get a job? Am I trying to position myself as an expert? Am I trying to make people laugh? Am I just sharing an
Right.
idea? And once you have a system to follow, it turns into a plug and play. Just like anything else you can templatize about your career, just fill in the blanks and hit post.
Yeah, I mean, even within the apps, though, there's a lot of different capabilities to schedule posting, right? And I don't think people even understand that, right? So just in LinkedIn, schedule post. It's a great feature. I don't think people even know it exists.
It's
But
only relatively new too. I think the past year and a half.
that's right. Yeah. So, I mean, Aaron, you're the most prolific poster amongst the three of us. So you say you look at the analytics once on a Sunday night. When do you create?
After that, the way that I view it, and I think this has really helped people, the mindset of content creation is just as important as the strategy and the software.
Right.
If you think about all of your short form posts, so just to give our audience a little context, short form video is something that's going to go to TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. It's vertical, so 9:16 aspect ratio. Or with text, it's something less than an article. So it could be a tweet, it could be 3 lines on LinkedIn, whatever. Those are short form. I view those as just antenna or feelers that I put out in a pretty high volume. What I can do on Sundays is take those across a bunch of different platforms and say, what were my outliers that did really well on LinkedIn, on X, on Threads? Turn those into my next long form. So let's say I have a 3 line tweet do really well on a Tuesday. I look at the analytics and go, I need to write an article about that, or I need to make that into a thread because there's some social proof for it. And then there's no pressure, because you know how many tweets I had that sucked? Like 90% of them were not good. well, now I know which ones to ignore, and I let the algorithm sort it out. And there's that fear of putting it into the universe that John talked about is actually a good thing, because I'll just let the analytics tell me on Sunday which ones to expand on and which ones to leave and let them die.
Yeah, that's great.
Such a great way.
Yeah. And doing this kind of in batch form, right? It really does free you up. I mean, we all have, our day jobs, right? We all have our work. And to spend that little bit of time really just makes you more efficient.
Yep. And my analogy that I used with a group I spoke with on this topic, a lot of people do the content and hope it goes viral or hope it gets them the job, but they don't look at the performance or the analytics. That's like doing science experiments, hoping you cure cancer, but you never looked at the data and did any lab reports. You're like, I'll just go back to the lab and mix more stuff up tomorrow until poof, I get the magic. And you're just wasting your time. Like, it feels like you're doing something, but you're not getting results because you're not looking at those and using that to inform what you do next.
Right. And also like you alluded to this, by delving deeper into certain types of content that work. But I think people can also repurpose, right? And just reuse, recycle, right? Recycle content. Why not have that same content and your 105 posts across 8? Not all of them are completely original. A lot of them are reused and recycled.
Yep. Here's a great example. Another misconception from people who are intimidated. They go, I need a new post idea every day. Or if it's image based, I need new pictures and graphics every day. 2 weeks ago, I posted a picture of a Mac computer and said, I bought this. I'm excited to use it. Very little engagement on any platform. I took the exact same picture from my camera roll and I reposted it the very next week. So I have 98% the same followers that I did a week before. Totally different context. I said, I'm going to use this Mac device to host local AI tools so they're not in China. So totally different context, but the content was literally the same picture for my camera roll. Best engagement post of the week. And people think like, oh, you can't post the same video twice or the same article. Sure you can. Number one, not everybody saw it that saw the first one. It's not a direct line to your followers, but you can just change the context and talk about it in a different way or to a different audience and literally just reuse stuff.
So interestingly, having the different context, you were mindful, right? You brought mindfulness to your posts, and then I think the authenticity hit differently for the audience because it's not about you; it's about your audience, right? And what do they find authentic, right? If maybe you had more authenticity from your heart on your first post, but it doesn't matter. It's all about the audience and the analytics.
Yep. And there are so many ways to do that. Another example, take the thing that you wrote about and screenshot a picture of that in an Apple Note. same copy, or just turn it into like 3 bullet points. I did that last week and said, instead of writing out 3 sentences, I did an Apple Note with the 3 things checked off a to-do list. It's not original content, but you just wrap it up in a different wrapper and it did better than it would have done if it was just text.
People do love their checklists.
Yep. The dopamine fiends came out in the comment. Like the first comment within minutes of it posting was, oh, I got to hit a dopamine just from seeing your 3 things checked off on your Apple Note. Which
That's awesome.
I will confess, I add things after I do them just so I can check them off.
That is awesome. That's awesome. People love the checklist, the listicle. Right here are my 3 takeaways, my 5 takeaways from this article. They just love it, and it's really not very much effort. It's not a big lift to create those. So John, like
And
you've done this too, right? With
Mhm.
one of my favorite articles by you is that is the thing on ghost jobs, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
I mean, that's a great article that continues to pop up for you.
It performs every week,
That's incredible. And that's what,
even
like
even if it's
6
small
months?
numbers.
It's 6 months,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, it was originally written in September.
Wow.
I reposted it on Halloween.
The ghost jobs, of course, right? So yeah, that's I mean, it's such a good story, right? It's a good success story, right? Where you're getting engagement, you're continuing to build your personal brand, you're continuing to have social proof in the feedback from people that missed it the first time, right? Absolutely, they
Yeah.
missed it the first time. And by the way, Aaron, your story about your picture with the Mac computer, I did not see the first one. I know I didn't. I definitely saw the second one about China, right? So,
You know why
that's
you didn't
another
see the
example
first one?
because you deleted it.
No, I don't. I never delete anything. I don't want to
Oh,
go
okay.
down that rabbit hole because it didn't get good engagement from the first sample it put it out to. So it didn't get pushed to even my engaged followers like you. Not all of them saw it.
So if it doesn't get engagement, the algo pushes it down.
Exactly. And then I know I'm not going to go write an article about, I got a new Mac computer, want to read 5 pages of it because no one wanted to look at the 3-line text post that I did. But
But
you know what I am going to write an article about? What local LLMs I hosted on my Mac Studio, because the post about that and China and privacy had like 24 comments in a day, which for me is way more than usual. And it was a mix of negative and positive. So the first feeler didn't get any traction. I repackaged the exact same picture in a different way. It got better. Now it's going to be an article. And it's writing the lab report. I ran the same experiments, but if you don't look at
Right.
those, I would just keep blindly posting. And those are the things we're going to teach in the class. And when you work with professional content creators, all of us are. Dan, you're kind of the OG one to me. I'm the rookie who is more TikTok than anything. But you realize, oh, you just need a strategy. You're not lacking ideas or creativity or writing style. You just need a blueprint to follow, and everything else will come.
Well, I
yeah.
appreciate the compliment, but you have now become Darth Vader, right? The student has become the master, right? And your analytics, like you shared it with us, before the call. I mean, your analytics are off the charts. I mean, that is just so impressive what you've done, and continuing to build out the brand. And so for Friday, I think that's a great kind of bar, even though it's a super high bar. But I think it's a bar that everybody can aspire to, me included. I'm sure John would feels the same, right? That
Yeah.
if our students can go from, let's say, zero or maybe 10%, kind of on the knowledge scale, and then kind of creep up a little bit, I think it'll be worth it for them, right? To be able to just understand some of the tactics that they'll implement based on their strategies.
Yeah, let's use each other as an example of one of the things we'll learn in the class. To me, there are 3 types of content creators. There are yappers, streamers, and typers. In other words, do you like to talk? Do you like to video record? Or do you like to write? Which one would you say you are, John? What's your preferred medium to create in?
Yeah, I think I write the most. Although I could probably generate way more content just talking. Just because you can switch subjects, pull a lot of data. But yeah, I tend to write.
What we'll do if you're listening and go, oh, I'm a typer, I'd prefer a keyboard. That's how I create. We'll give you a system to follow that goes, here's my short forms, here's my long forms. And then how do you turn those in? Say you have a podcast. Like I'm on a podcast right now. I'm not a yapper. I fill that bucket when I teach. My students have to listen to me talk enough. I'm a video person. But you can take what you wrote and turn it into video scripts or into
Mm.
audio clips. You just need a system to follow. Which of those, Dan, are you more a yapper, a streamer, or a typer?
I have gone back and forth. I would say 4 years ago, end of 2020, early 2021, I was very much a streamer and I kind of went away from it. And I'm much more of an audio and actually more of a writer now. So I think I would like to get back to being more diverse in the different types of content I produce. And it takes work, but I understand the system, and I can't wait to have our students learn it from you, Aaron. I mean, the system works.
Yep. And what I see, so say you guys, neither of you prefer to stream. You don't want to, a selfie cam is not your desired creation format. It is mine. So I kind of learned this haphazardly. People like you then either don't record video, which is a huge mistake, or they use AI and say, write a script of a 30-second Instagram reel about recruiters on LinkedIn. And they get this cheesy, terrible thing. And they hate doing that medium. And it's just such a cringy combo. What our students will learn is take what you like to yap or write about in your own voice and tone and turn it into little snippets of video and just hit post. Or take your article and just record the 30-second video summary of it after you write it. You don't have to come up with new things. You don't need to use AI to give you the script. You can use your own authentic voice. So I'm excited to share that system because I'm a streamer, but I have to also write articles. I don't want to sit there at a keyboard. And somebody who likes to yap can use a tool to transcribe it. There's your blog, your article, your email newsletter, and just follow the system.
It's great. Systematizing it saves time, money, everything, effort, mind space, and that's what we're here to do. So Friday at noon Eastern, Friday at noon Eastern, visit futureproof-you.com. Go to our courses and you will see the listing for the class Content Creation 101. And we look forward to having you in class. This will be a lot of fun, I think, for people to learn how to be more efficient on creating content and actually enjoy it instead of feeling that you have to be perfect and have that fear and have that misgivings or anxiety about it.
Yep. And if you miss March 28th has passed since you listened to this episode, just check out the website. It'll be there as a digital download. If you go to futureproof-you.com, there's a store and you can grab the recording of it or reach out to us on LinkedIn or whatever platform with a DM and we can hook you up.
Excellent. Well, this has been another episode of FutureProof You's podcast, F Yourself. Thanks so much to you guys. As always good to hang out with you.
Thank you,
Always
Dan.
a good time. Looking forward to Friday.